8 titans, dozens of spire sites, and millions of Thargoids against the most crucial piece of humanity in the space. The Second Thargoid War lasted for around 7 years, but you already know what happened 2 years earlier. So let's just focus on the beginnings of this whole story. So to understand why did Thargoids invaded the core systems, we need to learn how this whole thing started, because it's not like the Thargoids were continuously fighting with humanity after the first war. They have disappeared after losing their hive ship, or so does the humanity thought. People thought that the Thargoids extinct after losing a war, but they just fall back into regions beyond our reach. The Pleiades, Witchhead, and Kolsak Nebulae. After humans started to colonize the Pleiades Nebula sector, the unknown artifacts were found, later declared as the Thargoid sensors and probes. Later on, more evidence about Thargoids' existence were found, including 100-year-old crashed interceptor, barnacle sites producing meta-alloys, and finally, the first encounter for over 100 years, the Commander D.P. Sire's hyperspace interdiction by a living Cyclops interceptor. As the humanity continued its research on the potential threat, collecting unknown artifacts, many Federation convoys in Pleiades sector started to disappear, only to be later found destroyed by an unknown enemy. The final identification of Thargoid's return occurred on June 13, 3303, when the wreckage of Federal combat vessels were found destroyed after stealing research data from Professor Palin, one of the famous engineers that requested to provide scans and research about new unknown ships. Commander Edward Lewis transmitted a message revealing that the Federation knew about Thargoid's return, and he shared that to the rest of the humanity. They have returned, or in that case, we have returned, as Stargoids never left the galaxy, they just moved to the previously called Nebula, so the humanity in fact violated their territory. After revealing the truth, the superpowers had hard time calming down the people. Federation has been already expanding their military, of course. Empire pointed that the humanity managed once to defeat them, and Alliance suggesting some detailed research. One of the most important discoveries was the discovery of Thargoid's surface site. Nobody knew back then what that structure was. Later research showed that a vessel can enter the core of that structure while holding one of the unknown artifacts. Inside of the structure is a device that can be activated with a Thargoid sensor, probe, and link. The last one can be found inside this structure. After placing the artifacts in correct order and scanning the device, the Thargoid star map, or something that looks like a map at least, is revealed. It is not known what it actually points out to us. Needing more research about the Thargoids, the superpowers founded a new research initiative, Aegis. After Thargoids began to invade more Federal convoys, destroying whole Farragut battlecruisers in the process, engineers Liz Ryder and Professor Palin were assigned to design a new anti-Xeno weapon and a scanner that will be able to scan the Thargoid vessels. Escalation of the conflict. With the recent success of Aegis, which managed to create anti-Xeno missiles and scanner, commanders were able to effectively harm Thargoid vessels. Not waiting long for response, Thargoids began to attack more military convoys as well as the civilian ships and whole space stations, stealing the functional escape pods after their attacks. Following increased aggression from the Thargoids, new vessels started to appear. Thargoid scouts and the new interceptor variant Basilisk has been noticed by the pilots. 14 December 3303, the Oracle station has been attacked, heavily damaged by another interceptor variant Medusa. It was only the beginning of problems as the Thargoids began to invade stations closer and closer to the core system, reaching the bubble in a few months. Finally, on 28 August 3304, the first appearance of the Hydra interceptor has been reported, the most dangerous interceptor ever seen and encountered. With new weapon, Thargoids once again intensified their assaults, moving deeper into core systems. In the meantime, the barnacle sites producing meta-alloys started to deplete, so the superpowers needed to find a new sites, which were found in Witch Head Nebula. At the same time, the final interceptor variant in Pleiades sector appeared for a short time, the Ortrus, which quickly flew away when sighted by the pilots near the abandoned Professor Palin's research center. It is not quite known what he was looking for at this abandoned place. The Eighth Passenger. When humanity began to explore the Kolsak Nebula for a new barnacle sites, a ghost ship has been discovered in the Chukchan system, the Adamastor. It had a FSD failure and has been traveling through space for almost 200 years, transporting data about barnacle sites and crashed interceptor. The Adamastor crew has been also transporting an alien artifact, probably later exposed to contain an alien creature inside. The object itself began to damage the ship and provide many malfunctions. The lead professor managed to flee the ship in Sidewinder Mk1 and crashed on HIP 69200-1B. It is the first recorded encounter with the Thargoids many years before the First Thargoid War. The Guardians Incident. Aegis decided to collect Guardian artifacts in order to construct a new anti-Xeno weapon. The artifacts has been collecting in the Alexandria megaship, located in Delphi system. In response to this maneuver, Thargoids rapidly attacked many starports and the megaship itself to destroy the huge stockpile of Guardian technology, because the Guardians and Thargoids were deadly enemies in the past. After successful defense of the Alexandria, the decision was made to move the ship in a safer location and spread the Guardian artifacts through many locations. The ship departed as scheduled, but was never seen again, probably hyperdicked by the Thargoids and destroyed. Disappearance of the Alexandria with all the crew and cargo collected by the independent pilots struck back at Aegis and pushed superpowers for an investigation, which resulted in many shutdowns and resigns. Commander, this is Salvation. Salvation is a self-proclaimed alias of an Asimov scientist, Caleb Wisherley. He had research on the Mycoid bioweapon and considered himself as the savior of the humanity by developing a weapon that will make Thargoids extinct, this time for good. And so, the Asimov saga begins. Salvation with Asimov Biotech launched a campaign to construct a new megaship Bright Sentinel, serving modified Guardian weapons for the interested pilots, which would hold a new anti-Xeno superweapons. The superweapons were constructed and successfully fired to repel Thargoids from multiple systems. In the meantime, the Alliance signed a defensive pact with Sirius Corporation to put more stations to support anti-Xeno operations in exchange of presence in the Alliance territory. With combined forces, superpowers decided to dismantle Aegis and together with Sirius continued anti-Xeno research and efforts. On 9 August 3308, the Salvation was ready for the final blow to extinct the Thargoids.
All humankind, this is Salvation. Future generations will remember our triumph today. The Thargoid threat, consigned to the past.
With my guidance, Asimov has constructed
The means to destroy our enemy. My final gift, born from a century of sacrifice. The Proteus Wave. Our victory is delivered in this moment. Humanity's next great chapter begins now.
Proteus Wave is online, Commodore Halloran. Surface site readings are stable.
Initiate countdown sequence. 20, 19, 18.
Multiple Thargoid interceptors approaching. Just a few more seconds.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The Bright Sentinel, earlier moved to HIP 22460 system, launched a Proteus wave into nearby Thargoid surface site. The Proteus wave successfully sent a pulse wave to surface site and disabled all the nearby Thargoid vessels. Although, a few minutes later the surface site launched a new signal.
Down. We finally did it.
Wait. I'm picking up an energy surge near... No, from the Proteus wave site. Thargoid markers, but amplified past anything I
Shut
see.
the weapon down, now!
I want to establish...
Warning. Thrusters offline.
What just happened? Report!
The Thargoids! They're alive!
Controls are not responsive! All systems offline! Engineering! We need power, now! All crew! Brace for impact!
Interceptors quickly destroyed Bright Sentinel, resulting in Salvation death, ending the Asimov saga. The Stargoids. After failure of the Proteus wave, a new object appeared in the sky. It was very bright, almost like a star, and moving towards the bubble. Weeks later, new signals appeared, heading the same direction. At last, 8 new objects reached the bubble, starting the most tense conflict in the human history. And what happened later? I leave that to the other commanders. So that was the story of the Second Thargoid War minus 2 last years. So that was it, that was the history. It's quite interesting when you start to look for all these informations by yourself and read all this stuff that happened in Elite Dangerous. It's amazing that developers managed to create such an complex and detailed lore for this game. So yeah, that was everything for me. And remember, fly safe, fly free, commanders.